Okay, I'll repeat it. Hi, I'm Ray of Sunshine. I love that you're here with me today, and yes, I'm going to repeat myself. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that's what I do. I repeat myself because I know what you're like. I'm one of you too, and I have a thick skull. So sometimes it takes repeating to get things to sink in. And some things I repeat more than others, which you will discover if you look at my earliest series. So the first thing I'm going to repeat is what I started explaining in yesterday's video, which is the first of my B series videos. And there are some differences in the B series as there is from the A series and the 1 through 6 series before that, and the pilot video before that, the Why Me video. And you will have the opportunity to click on some of those. There'll be boxes on the side of my head at the end of this video, and I'll tell you more about that. But let me describe some of the differences and why they're significant. First of all, it's significant to have earlier videos because you can't have earlier videos without having later videos. And so I take you through that process. And we're going through this process together, just like we're going through the New World process together. You know, there aren't too many people on this planet, specifically, I would say zero, who have been going through this New World energy before. Maybe some on other planets. In fact, I don't think I know my best friend Sid, who I was together with for 17 years before he passed away from cancer in 2015. And if you haven't met Sid, you will have the opportunity to meet him on any one of my other videos. But anyway, he used to talk about that he's not from this planet. And I had a strong suspicion that he was one of the Pleiades, but he never really talked about that. He never really got into details. He talked about things like he used to be abducted by aliens. He was abducted a lot of times, which also leads me to believe that maybe he's one of them because and they're checking it out. How's he settling into the colony here? But anyway, he's on the other side now. He used to talk to people on the other side when he was on this side. And we did that. I have a lot of those stories too, and they're all in those previous videos. So you need to check out those previous videos because number one, you're going to see the progression from the A series, B series, which we're in now. I'm going all the way up into the Z series. And when I get into the Z series, I'll be sending you back to some of these earlier videos because I want you to see the progression. And that's the value of them. But besides that, I didn't just make these videos without a purpose in mind. They all have meaningful messages, and some of them are critical messages that could be life-changing for some people. And so I think that's another reason why you want to do something different, to discover something different about you, because maybe you'll discover how you deal with different, particularly if you go back to my 1 through 6 series. They're different, and you'll discover how you deal with different. But also, you could take the opportunity to send this video or any one of those videos to some character who it would be out of character for you to send it to. Number one, to discover something different about you. Number two, to give them the opportunity to discover something different about them. And if you're wondering, what are they going to think? Were they going to say, "Why? I wonder why he's sending me this video. I wonder why she thought of me." Well, they might think that, and who cares? But they might think, "Wow, you have a pretty good eye for a jackpot when you see one, and thanks very much, because I love it. I learned something." And that's what this series is all about. Learning, loving, loving, living. And I don't go into, I have short topics and I have short descriptions. There's not much else to describe other than because they're all about the same thing. Every one of these videos is about learning, loving, and loving, living. So the first video, and that goes back several months, is my pilot video. It's called Why Me? There will be a box on the side of my head for you to click on. And that's 25 minutes and 26 seconds. And I think, it occurred to me that 25-26 has significance for somebody. And that's your cue. Go check it out. click on that box on the side of my head. But my pilot video was a little bit of a different theme than where I headed with these other videos. So it wasn't in the Learning, Loving, and Loving Living series, but it became part of it because that's what it's about. It's about learning, loving, and loving living. It's about a tangent that my life went on about a 10 Martian moment. And if you don't know what a 10 Martian moment is, you'll get to find out over there. But that video, you're going to notice some subtle differences. You're going to notice some differences in the B series that you didn't see in some of the other series, and some of them are more pronounced than others. Some of them are less obvious, and I'm not even going to tell you what they are. You're going to have to look at them. You're going to have to go look at the videos yourself to discover what they are. But there's subtle differences and not so subtle differences, and you'll discover them. And maybe you'll discover something different about you at the same time. You'll notice that I'm wearing an earring in my B series, which I haven't worn. I had my ears pierced many, many years ago, and it was traumatic for me. I didn't want to have, why would I voluntarily have somebody stick needles into my body? But it was part of the process. Just like these videos are part of the process. You can't have newer videos without having older videos to begin with. It's part of the process. So I couldn't have pierced ears without having somebody stick needles into. So I found somebody that had two of them. This is a long time ago. Gosh, I don't even remember, but many decades ago. And I found somebody with two of those devices, and I got it done. But I still have not been in the habit of wearing earrings. Sid, my best friend Sid, used to wear earrings a lot, and I have a lot of those earrings, and I wore one in my first B series video yesterday, which was a seahorse, and that led me into my horse medicine cards, and and there was an important message for me there. Just by doing something different, I was led someplace different, and I do that every day. I started off by my goal was do one thing different. So to discover something different. And I talk about those in a lot of those other videos, people that I've met, conversations that I've had, things that I've done. Some of them were very deep and meaningful, and some of them were frivolous and fun. But you'll get to learn about some of those in some of my previous videos. I don't know what you're waiting for to go to look at some of those. I mean, I wasn't wasting my time making those videos. There's significant messages there for you, and so there might be a little bit of a different format, but you'll discover how you deal with different, and at the same time, maybe you'll discover something about you. And so, particularly if you haven't seen my pilot video, Why Me?, you'll get to learn some things about me. You'll get to learn some things about Sid. You'll get to learn some things about you. If you haven't seen my 1 through 6 video, they all serve as an introduction to me, but there's also very many hidden messages in there. In video number 2, I believe I'm in this section of my sanctuary. 1 and 2 mostly, but all of 1 through 6, you'll get a tour of my sanctuary. So in this area, on that video, I talked about my friend Aldo up there, who you can't see, and my friend Aurora, who you can't see, and some of my other friends here. This is this guy here is or girl. I'm not sure what it is. I think I think she's or he is ambisexual. I'm not sure what to call it, or maybe it's a they. Anyway, this one, this used to be 2 stumps, and they became 1 stump, and I polished them up and made him into a character, just because it was fun. But this guy doesn't have a name, and so if you have a name that you can suggest, why don't you do something different, right? Why don't you do something out of character? Because maybe it would be out of character for you to contact me, actually, and say, hey, Ray of Sunshine, I think this might be a good name for that bird. And while you're at it, and this is very simple too, because doing something different might help you to discover something different, because we're in the energy of different. Different now, like we've never seen. So it's a matter of getting used to dealing with different. So maybe you would consider sending this video or my pilot video or any one of those other videos that you could click on when you click on the side of my head or one of those boxes. send it to some character that it would be out of character for you to send it to. Maybe you'll discover something different about you. Maybe they'll discover something different about them. As you know, or if you've seen some of my other videos, I have this gong bowl. And I don't know, here's my gonger. And I haven't been using it for gonging because I have somebody else that does gonging for me these days. And so this became my fortune cookie bowl. And I had so many of these fortune cookie slips. These are slips that I made up from Google Docs. They're all 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, and they're just different subjects for me to talk about. So I'm never going to run out of things to talk about. And if you know anything about me, because you've watched some of my earlier videos, you know that I'm very careful with my words. And I never use words like never inappropriately. I only use them when it's accurate to use them. So I will never run out of topics because I will never run out of fortune cookie slips. I had so many of them that they didn't even fit in this bowl, so I took a lot of them out. And in my B series, a couple of times, actually my B series was when I developed, no, my A, this is my B series. My A series was when I developed this format of doing the fortune cookie slips. And on some of those, I cheated because the idea was, okay, we're gonna, like you're surprised when you pick a fortune cookie. You don't know what the saying is going to be, and so I was gonna pick something and we would talk about it, just spontaneously, because that's my goal. My goal is to just be spontaneous. And that's what I'm working toward. And you're going to notice a big difference between this series, the next series coming up, the series that we just came out of. You're going to notice a progression. Just like you're going to notice some of these other differences that I pointed out, and some that I didn't point out that you're going to have to figure out yourself. Let me tell you about the earring, for example. So this used to belong to my best friend Sid, and it's a little spoon. It's made out of I don't know, brass or lead or whatever. It's pretty heavy, and the spoon, I guess, was designed to use in some kind of like white powdery substance. And Sid never used it for that. Sid used to just hang it on his ear because he liked it. Sid collected a lot of things. A lot of these things in my sanctuary were things that I gave to Sid, or things that Sid gave to me, things that are very meaningful. And I talk about that on a lot of those previous videos. So you can go there to find out some of those sort of things. But this earring that she said yesterday, I picked, did I already tell you about this? I picked a horse, a seahorse. Anyway, and today I have this little spoon. Sid used to love this spoon, and he wore it on his ear a lot. And Sid used to get stopped a lot for all kinds of different things. Federal marshals. I've had so many experiences with Sid getting pulled over, and when he was wearing this little spoon on his ear, that would look suspicious, so you have to get the shakedown and the inspection. We're going to inspect your car, and there must be something here that you're hiding. When I first met Sid, the first week that I met Sid, we fell in love the day that we met. We moved in together the day that we met. He met my parents the next day. They were on the other side. Oh, and this is what I was telling you before. So Sid used to, and I have a lot of those stories on all those videos, but Sid used to talk to people on the other side, and we went around just to meet people, and I didn't even realize it then that I was doing something different and discovering something different. But this was routine for Sid because, we'd run into people and he'd get these messages, and he'd tell these people what the messages were from their loved ones, and he brought a lot of consolation to many people over the years. And all of those, there's many of those stories and many more to come. But, I talk about Sid a lot because Sid was significant in my life, and I learned a lot from Sid. Sid provided a lot of inspiration, as he does for me now. And I talk about him. Sid used to be with a man before he was with me for 31 years, Bob, who passed away from cancer. And Sid used to talk about Bob a lot. And he sometimes said, "You don't mind." I never minded in fact, Bob, I know a lot about Bob because I heard about Bob for 17 years. And I never minded at all hearing about Bob because it was a reflection. For me, it was simply, I could tell the love was just dripping off of Sid for Bob, and he missed him a lot, and he was very, very fond of it. And he told me, about a lot of the things that they did and a lot of the things that Bob taught him, and I never minded because it was a reflection of how Sid feels about me. And I learned a lot about how to become my own best friend from the example that was set by my best friend, Sid. So, let me hop into some of what I did was I had so for my new. Did I finish telling you about my format yet? Yeah, there's different formats. You can go check out the other ones. But so I had so many of these slips in here that they weren't fitting, and in the A series, I started getting to this routine where I would pick a slip before the program started just to familiarize myself a little bit, and I don't do that anymore. So this time, what I'm doing now, different in this series, is I took all of those slips out, and I just put a small handful in, and I'm saving those because I have all the way. I have this whole program to get all the way to Z, and when I get to Z, I'll be sending you back here to see them anyway. But so I just have a few in there to pick from, which I glanced at before I hit record, just to have a little bit of idea of what I'm going to be talking about here in today's program. One of them is spicy. So spicy, and I guess that'll probably be the name of this video. You would already know that. But anyway, spicy. I put spicy because I just got a gift in the mail for my birthday. My birthday was last week. If you haven't seen my birthday video, it's You know what? My birthday video, actually, I think that's the first day. It's a little bit confusing. My birthday is the first day that I aired the beginning of this whole series, but I had started recording it before that, a couple of days ahead of time. Anyway, on my birthday video, I believe is when I talk about some of the birthday gifts that I got, and one of them was these spicy items. Everybody knows that I like spicy. Sid used to know that I like spicy, so whenever he had a chance to cook for me, which wasn't often, I had this discussion with him one day before he died, and I said, Sid, why is it that I always did all the cooking? And he said, well, because you loved it, and I love you, and I wanted to make you happy. And I realized that because Sid loved to cook too, and he was a good cook. And when he did cook, he used to make spicy things for me because he knew I like spicy. And everybody that I know knows that I like spicy. So a lot of times when I get there's the gifts, they are spicy gifts. And this particular day, I got something in the mail. And it was spicy products like a ghost pepper honey mustard and a ghost pepper barbecue sauce and stuff like that. And that's a metaphor for my whole life, making my life spicy. And so I'm looking for spicy things to do. I'm looking for something different, to discover something different, and I'm always doing that. I talk about that on many of those previous videos about what did I, this is what I did different today. This is what I did different yesterday. I met lots of different people and had some, very profound and in-depth discussions and occurrences with lots of people. And some of them were, a little bit more frivolous. And yesterday, for example, I was at the supermarket, and I don't go around the supermarket introducing I used to not go to the supermarket introducing myself to strangers. Maybe that's the new different. But it happened yesterday, and I snuck up. I didn't really sneak up behind this guy, but he thought I was sneaking up on him. And just like, I think it's video number 6, I talk about that with this guy, Joe, that I'm paddling around in my kayak, and I come up to him to introduce myself out in the middle of the pond, and he practically went flying out of his kayak because he thought I was sneaking up on him too. So anyway, this guy, his name is Peter. And I snuck up on him behind the lettuce because I was going to buy lettuce too. So I introduced myself. And I didn't even know that he was cute at the time. But so I'm looking at the letter and said, "Oh, my name's Ray." And he said, "Oh, I'm Peter." And we had a little discussion. We talked about the veggies and worked our way down the veggie aisle. There wasn't too much that came to it. Once I got my tongue back in my mouth. And he didn't end up inviting me on a date. He didn't give me his phone number. He didn't ask me for my phone number. None of those kind of things. However, it was fun. It was enjoyable, and those are the kind of things that I do every day. I used to my beginning goal was to pick one thing, to do one thing different every day, to discover something different, and then it accelerated from there. And I would do two things, and now I do. I'm in the routine of doing different, and that's important because we have different on the horizon like we ain't never seen before. So it's a matter of getting used to it, and it's a matter of discovering different things about me. I bring up a lot of those kind of examples in some of those previous videos, and while you're waiting to go look at those, I'll never know. But those videos, I talk about a lot of those kind of things. Well, go check it out and discover something different about you. So, okay, spicy is one of my goals, making my life more spicy. That was a fun encounter, just for fun, that I had with Peter yesterday. I had other experiences too, which I probably won't have time to get into today, but I'll talk about them on another video. When I have things that I need to discuss, that I feel are significant, I put them down on a slip, and they become a fortune cookie slip. So there are things on many of those other videos that, because I go off on tangents, which if you haven't noticed, you'll notice it. Go to some of those videos. You'll see some pretty big tangents. But sometimes I go off on tangents and I never get back to what the moral of the story was. And so I'm thinking, well, geez, that was kind of important to get back to the moral of the story. So whatever the moral of the story was becomes a fortune cookie slip, so I can get back to it and tell you about it someday. I mean, because I forget about it on that particular broadcast, and you probably forget about it too, but they're significant. So they become fortune cookie slips just like all these others. And so if you think of something to spice up my life, let me know. And let me see, another one. Well, this is I wonder, and I wonder if I really have enough time to talk about this one, because this is a long topic, and it's about, as you might guess, wondering. I spent a long time, many years of my life, wondering about things, and that started when I was at a very, very young age. And I tell that whole story on one of those 1 through 6 videos, so you can go there to learn it. But I had a disease that I was born with, and it created difficulty for me, and I spent a lot of time alone. I learned to be a hermit at a very young age, and I learned that I loved going into my imagination, because it was a fun place to be, and there's no such thing as too much fun, and you can't possibly have too much happiness, so why not contribute toward it? And I wasn't necessarily doing it deliberately back then, but I was doing it because it was fun, because I liked it, and it was natural for me to go into it, to wonder about things. And I've wondered about a lot of things. And a lot of the things that I wondered about, I have created, and that's the whole moral of I wonder. So you'll get to learn about that in tomorrow's video. I'll give you just a little clue. At one time, I wondered what it was like, what it would feel like, what it would be like. How would that land for me? If I could imagine, what would it be like to lose 100 pounds? That was 98 pounds ago. So I'll tell you more about that in tomorrow's video. We'll start off with that topic. Meanwhile, do something different to discover something different. Send this video to some character that it would be out of character for you to send it to. And in the meanwhile, it's playtime. Create you.